on Thursday, there was another press conference between Nathan Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. This is like the 5th press conference they've done for this fight. It's going to happen on July 6th, so we're finally less than a month away. Thank the heavens for that. It's going down July 6th in Anaheim, and this time it actually popped off. Now, was it legit? Was it not legit? It seemed pretty damn legit to me. We do have some of the footage here in case you haven't seen it yet. It got a little dicey there between Team Masvidal, there he is, and Team Diaz. This courtesy of Fight Hub TV. All kinds of drama there. Oh, I mean, look at that, swinging for the fences. This make you want to see the fight more, GC?
Not really, no. No, like, I mean, it's kind of a ridiculous scene, but the fight itself, I mean, it doesn't evoke like, now I can't wait to see this. This is going to be,
because it's not even them involved, right? I know Diaz said some stuff afterwards, but it's just like,
yeah, if it was them, I still don't think it would make me want to see the fight.
Scale of 1 to 10, what's your interest level in this?
I don't even know the new date. If that gives you any.
I mean, I just said it like 30
July
seconds.
6th.
July 6th.
Yeah, see, that's how interesting.
I mean, it's a good point.
The other. A 6. Yeah, 6.
By the way, for someone who doesn't know the date, a 6 is actually quite high. I thought you were going to say like a 2.
I think I'm giving it too much credit. I think it's like a 4. It's okay. The thing is I'm gonna watch it. Like, when the date rolls around, when push comes to shove and it's on television, I'm going to watch it. But like, am I eager beaver? Can't wait. Checking odds, watching press conferences, watching everything beforehand? No. So, gonna watch. Not crazy excited about it.
What about you, Frank? You seem into it.
You know, I was more interested when it was going head to head with a UFC event.
What?
Just to like,
wait,
watch that
because it was a
train
car
wreck.
crash. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. However, and there's too many press conferences. Like, I
Way
thought
too many. It's
thought
overexposed.
He's already made it clear, Diaz, I'm talking about, that he's not into this. So why continue to have him do it? Like, this is the stuff that's going to come out of it. And I don't know. Like, I think it's better when they're actually fighting and not all this crap leading up to it.
Poor Brian Campbell, who keeps having to ask Diaz these very like deep questions, like the 5th time around. Golly, not easy. Anyway, that happened on Thursday. We found out on Friday morning that there's a new date for the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. They are going ahead with it, and it's November 15th. Now, a few things that are interesting about this. A, there's a new date. B, same location, AT&T Stadium, same platform, Netflix, different day of the week, Friday, November 15th. It's a football game later on. I think it's a Monday night game. There's all kinds of competition on Saturday with football. How do we feel about a Friday date for this, GC? Does this make you more interested in it?
That was my first reaction when I saw the new date was, oh, this is on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's still going to be, late in the late hours of the night. So like, I don't know, like, is that going to affect sales? Like, if it's still on essentially a weekend night, like it being Friday, how much is it going to affect sales?
When you say sales, by the way, you mean ticket sales, right? Because it's not a pay-per-view.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is not a pay-per-view. I always forget that with it being on Netflix.
Yeah.
Then I don't even know how much of a difference it's going to make. I mean, Friday night, Saturday night, what's really the difference? Like, you're still likely going to be off work. You're likely going to be free. And I just think the spectacle that it is, people are still going to tune in.
Yeah, I wonder if people's viewing habits are different on a Friday because, maybe you're less inclined to get together with people. You're just going to watch it by yourself. I don't know. But I know they look at this stuff, and maybe it's a big college football Saturday night. You don't want to go head-to-head with that. So don't hate it. But yes, obviously the biggest thing is that Taylor Serrano, at least for me, is still remaining on the card.
It's huge. I think the fact that they're still at AT&T Stadium is also pretty big.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's on Netflix. That's still a big deal. Let's see, because there's still, I think, some people who don't want to see this. I think there are some people who are now even more concerned about Tyson's health after, he had to pull out and withdraw from the original date, which was July 20th. But they're going ahead with it for better or worse. And now I'm starting to see some stuff between Jake and KSI. I would urge both sides to stop with the tweeting, get a deal done. You all make a boatload of money. Put your egos aside and let's figure this out once and for all. Anyway, that was Friday morning.
Quick question, though.
Yes.
Are all of the fights being moved to November 15th? Have any of them been jeopardized?
Frank, this is an amazing question, and I actually had it on my mental checklist to say,
Oh,
and
damn.
then moved
I'm
on.
I
too
actually
early.
was
No.
wondering as well about like Darren Till, things like that.
I am told they're reevaluating the other fights.
Okay, so the only ones that confirmed are Taylor Serrano, and Tyson, and Paul.
Yep.
All right.
Also, man, when you really think about the new date, like with everything that's going to be going on, obviously the fall is just like a jam-packed sports schedule. They were competing with the Olympics won't even have started, like essentially nothing.
Oh
on
yeah.
that Saturday night
Yeah.
in July,
Yeah.
like nothing.
Yeah.
That would have been all there was. to
A little Euro Copa America action. Might actually be
yeah,
done by
no,
then.
I actually think
Might be
they're done.
done.
I
Yeah,
think
you're
I
right.
think Wimbledon's done.
Yeah,
I think,
you're right.
I think there's like
Nothing.
not anything going on. Obviously,
NBA Summer
304
League.
the next week. Yeah, Summer League. Yeah, not much competition. So I'm curious as to
Yeah, no, it's a great
what
point.
the amount of viewers are going to be.
That's a great point. Typically, you don't want to try to, but and some people think that the reason why they're doing Fridays because UFC's on Saturday. Last I heard, the UFC day was November 9th, so the week before. So I don't think it has anything to do with it. But let's see.
I think it's because of football.
Yeah,
I think it's
me
because
too.
football is on Saturday.
Right. Isn't that a big SEC night?
I mean, any Saturday college football, like that's what people are going to be locked into. Like,
Right.
This would just be background noise.
What about later Friday night? You had a pretty solid one championship event highlighted by a big win by one Mikey Musumeci, aka Darth Rigatone, one of Eric's favorite fighters, athletes, I should say. And then Musumeci comes on the mic and drops a killer promo. Did you hear this promo? In case you missed it, here it is.
I competed with Gabriel like 3 or 4 years ago, and I lost this match, right? So this match was to show everyone that when you have an obstacle, you go to do it, and you overcome it. My opponent talked a lot of about me for about 4 years. I respect him so much, but for 4 years, he commented on every freaking post I did. I'm not trying to curse. Like, talking I just cursed again. Then he did something very personal to me. And when he did this personal involving family, that's when I got angry. But everyone talking you couldn't beat him. There's no way. He's a division heavier than you. I just submitted him easy as
Yeah, Musumeci. I like it. That was great shit. Well done. Curse away, bud. And he made it personal. And he was commenting on your post. How annoying. All the time? Every time? Even more annoying.
Unironically, I had some rigatoni on Friday night. I feel like that helped propelled him to.
I wish you didn't
Do
say
that
the
one.
unironically part. I wish you did it. I wish you did like a mini fight feast for Mikey Musumeci.
And I just cooked rigatoni.
Yes, in his honor. Did you end up having KFC on Saturday night?
I didn't. No, I didn't. I
was
thought about
looking
getting
for
some chicken littles.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
looking for it.
losing
I
step.
I kind of
Your
felt
stomach is thankful that you did.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm losing a step. No KFC. I still got the UFC 302.
Yeah, what's going
posted
on?
up here. I mean, I got to do.
There's been like 3 events.
I got to do
since
some
then.
spring cleaning here. Well, just
Uh,
one event. One event.
Well, I mean, usually on the Monday, do you have the previous
yeah,
one?
I usually go to the next one. I need to get the Perez Tatsuro
Yeah,
Taira
come on.
poster up. I need to order one of those bad boys. Hang it in the rafters. All-time event this Saturday.
KSW with another event. Phil DeFreeze with another win. So they're rolling. And that was another event that happened on Friday. Then we get to Saturday, Octagon, which is like the best kept secret here in North America, but is booming and exploding in Europe. They had 28,000 people at their event. 28 freaking thousand. I mean, look at this. Look at Octagon. Just out here filling up soccer stadiums.
How about this fireworks show too, man? It's like
Yes.
the 4th of July over there. The pyrotechnics are incredible.
Unbelievable. PFL in Newcastle, the Savannah Marshall fight was just it was kind of wild because it was very sloppy, and when you're expecting to see a pro boxer, an Olympian, an undisputed champion, you're expecting, very technical, all that stuff. And it was there, but because of the nature of the fight where she gets taken down twice and she just has to try to finish this, it was very fun. It was incredibly entertaining. She won with about 30 seconds left in the first round via standing TKO. And then afterwards, Clarissa Shields walks in, and obviously they have the history. And it was reminiscent of George St. Pierre and Matt Hughes back in the day, where George St. Pierre said, "I'm not impressed with your performance." That's, Clarissa was playing that role before the fight and after the fight. And I tweeted after, like, F it, just do the rematch in MMA now. I think in a perfect world, you have her win one more time to build a little momentum, but you're playing with a little bit of fire there. That's a very sellable fight, especially in the UK. And she is a star over there. A great performance, a fun fight, and yeah, now they've got something. And very cool to see the Aspinalls in her corner. Big Tom there, Andy there. The whole family was in the corner. So that was great. They also announced on Friday that they had signed, on Saturday during the event, that they had signed former UFC fighter Mark Diakese. He'll compete this year for them and then next year in the season. So stay tuned for that. I'll skip UFC for a brief moment. Rizin had an event on Saturday morning, headlined by Kyoji Horiguchi against, not Saturday morning, late Saturday night going into Sunday morning. They had an event headlined by Kyoji Horiguchi versus Sergio Pettis, and Horiguchi won, and he's incredible. Afterwards, bringing in his bride, newly married. I like when he's like, I want you in here. I want you. He's like, come on, let's go. He was like, all right, we don't have all day here. But it was a great scene. Beautiful stuff. And they even announced Manny Pacquiao. Did you see this? We asked Saki Kabara about Manny Pacquiao on Wednesday's program, and that was a lot of fun. And that was obviously for the Floyd Mayweather fight, but he actually was brought in there, and they had a whole face-off with Chihiro Suzuki, and that's going to be on the July 28th card, Super Rizin 3. So Manny Pacquiao back in the mix. This is a boxing match, by the way, not an MMA fight. So you had that on Sunday morning, and then you had NXT making its debut at the Apex on Sunday night. And what about the Apex? Shining bright like a diamond. Oh, we've never seen the Apex like this before. I mean, look at that footage. Let's see it one more time. So nice. We have to see it. I mean, look at it. It's booming in there. It's packed. What about the photo? We have a photo of this too. They did a great job dressing it up. This venue is perfect for NXT. And it's important to note, as much as we're applauding this, this is the Apex. This is the venue that we talk about ad nauseum on this program. And it's a very sore subject because we feel like it was a great spot for the UFC during the pandemic, but they're on a roll to such a degree now. Witness the fact that a fight night event headlined by Jared Cannonier versus Nasruddin Imavov is now the highest grossing gate-wise fight night in UFC history, the one that happened this weekend in Kentucky of all places. There's no Kentuckian on the bill there, and yet they're breaking all kinds of records. That event, the NXT PLE on Peacock, is not Raw, is not SmackDown, is not a major event. It's perfect. That is the equivalent of Contender Series, Tough, etc. It's not SmackDown, it's not Raw, it's not a WWE event. And so that's perfect for that. And that's what it should be used, in my opinion, for the UFC, meaning the second-tier events. I'm not talking about a second-tier fight night. They should all be on the road at this point, just like they were all on the road back in the day. Not to go over this all over again, but it was perfect. Wouldn't be surprised if they use it again. And there was something about the way it was dressed up, filled with more fans, that just made it feel so much more lively. That's the problem. It feels so sterile and quiet and just lifeless when we see the UFC events there. It's quiet. I mean, it's literally quiet. It's like you're watching pandemic MMA in 2024, and none of us want to relive that. I always find it so interesting when Dana White is asked about the relationship with WWE under the TKO umbrella, because he's always very quick to say they have nothing to do with each other. Like, he has nothing to do with WWE. He really doesn't want anything to do with WWE. And he often says that WWE, use his people, his production people. I mean, if I'm watching that, I mean, maybe it should be the other way, if you know what I'm saying. It just feels like he is very clearly trying to state that he wants nothing to do with it and doesn't want to be associated. And I understand that. It's better for WWE to be associated with UFC than vice versa, if only because one is the real deal and the other one isn't. And it's a lot more detrimental to the real deal to be associated with the scripted stuff. I get that. But from a production standpoint, WWE's track record is pretty stellar, and their events are A++. And so I don't think it's a problem sharing minds and talent, and you see what they did with that venue. It's never looked like that before. So that was actually quite promising. Oh, maybe this could actually be a lot more exciting than than what we've seen in the past out of the Apex. Now, it's going to go back to the same old, we presume, on Saturday, but it was a nice sight for sore eyes. Now, let's get to the UFC event. The UFC event on Saturday started off a little bit slow. They're in Kentucky. There's no stoppages. Slow. But the main card was quite entertaining, I thought. A bunch of finishes. Things really started to pick up once Bruno Ferreira got his spinning back elbow knockout. I think just the 9th in UFC history. It was either the 9th or 10th in UFC history. Excuse me, the 8th or 9th against Dustin Stoltzfus. Shades of Matt Brown against Eric Silva. Afterwards, we got Raul Rosas Jr. with the submission win over Ricky Turcios, and it seemed like there was some bad blood there at the beginning, and it ends with a RNC win for Raul. What was the sound that he made, GC?
Oh, there's no way I could even try to recreate that.
Just give it a whirl. Give it a whirl.
No, I mean, you got to go first if we're going to do this.
Well, I don't know. It's like,
an attempt? It sounded like he was saying chi wee wees in a really high voice.
What is that?
I have no idea. Yeah, that was a good attempt at it there, Frankie.
What does that even mean?
I have no idea. Man.
Watch
the
it
crowd
be
popped for
extremely
it, though.
offensive.
The crowd popped for it.
Yeah.
I don't think it was offensive. I don't think he was saying anything.
I think he was just hype.
Yeah, I think he was hyped too, man. It was great. It was hilarious.
Raul gets the win. Dominic Reyes gets the win. And we'll talk to Dominic soon. But what about the Jared Cannonier and Nassourdine Imavov fight? Now, it ends in the 4th round. And, I think Imavov was winning. And perhaps he was on his way, but it wasn't like, one-way traffic. And by now, you've probably seen the footage. You've probably seen the outrage. You've probably seen all the takes. I thought it was an absolutely awful stoppage by Jason Herzog, who I feel compelled every time I reference this to say that I think Jason Herzog is one of the very best referees in MMA today. Like, he is up there. He is top 3 at worst. Very strong case for 1 or 2, 3 at worst. And I just don't understand why he stopped that fight. And we do believe that the Twitter account that is at Jason Herzog MMA is his own Twitter account, although it's not verified. But those days are kind of over. And people are giving him a lot of shit. And I can't even imagine what the notifications and the replies and the DMs were like. But he did write this on Sunday. I get it. I know what I was seeing in the moment, but I've gotten enough feedback telling me I need to reevaluate. So I will. This is the closest, by the way, to what I've been campaigning for, which is some sort of accountability from these officials. A pool reporter, a 2-minute report, that type of thing, where we could kind of understand if A, you still feel after the fact like this was the right call, and B, what you were seeing in the moment. I know that's just 2 lines and it's pretty vague, but it is nice to know that A, he sees the stuff, he's getting feedback, and he's going to reevaluate. I'd like to think, given how good of a referee he is, once he reevaluates, once he talks to people in the know, he comes to the conclusion that that was an awful stoppage. Was Cannonier rocked? Yes. Did he take some shots? Yes. Did he run away at one point? Yes. Was one of the last strikes thrown in the fight a right hook from Cannonier? Yes. Did he seem out of it when the fight was stopped? No. And I don't even want to go into the if it would have gone 10 more seconds. No, that's not how you stop fights. That's not how you ref fights. And it's not like he was getting battered and bruised throughout the entire fight. That was a moment. That was a slice. That was an exchange. And it wasn't going well. But he was on his feet. Was he dazed? Was he on wobbly legs? Yes. But I stress that right hook. He threw the last significant strike, or maybe the second to last, at worst, in the fight. He threw a right hook. If he was completely out, go back to the tape. Unfortunately, we can't show it because of copyright. We have some photos to just back up the madness to a degree. I mean, you really can't get a great sense of it all. There you see, I mean, Cannonier isn't a loud, braggadocious guy. He's not a complainer per se. He was stunned. We were all stunned. I don't expect Imavov to say afterwards, oh yeah, bad stoppage. I don't deserve this. So we're not looking to him for that, but this was a bad stoppage. Unequivocally, one of the worst in recent memory. And it's shocking because it's coming via one of the best refs in the game, without a doubt. I was legit shocked because I was actually confused upon watching it live. Great crowd, by the way. I was confused because I thought maybe Cannonier dropped his mouthpiece, that it fell out, and that's why Herzog was momentarily stopping the fight. And then I realized, oh no, he was actually stopping the fight. Sometimes in those wild exchanges, a mouthpiece flies out, the ref steps in at an opportune time. That wasn't really an opportune time, but like I couldn't understand, and I didn't think that it was on the verge of getting stopped. He was definitely, he was definitely wobbly, and there was the moment where he ran for safety, but never did I think in that exchange that Jason Herzog, of all referees, would stop the fight. What did you think of the stoppage, GC?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought it was bad. The fact that Jared Cannonier never went, it wasn't even a knockdown. I mean, he was wobbled for sure. Like that moment where he started moving forward, like he was about to face plant, but then he caught himself. He got away, and then like you said, he was the last one to throw a punch. I just think it was ridiculous. Like you said, it was a close fight. You said maybe Imavov was winning, but I think on two of the judges' scorecards going into that fifth round, unless they scored a 10-8 for Imavov, then it was going to be 38-38 on two of the judges' scorecards, 2-2 going into that fifth round. And you got a guy in Cannonier that's 40 years old, needed to win this fight if he was going to get back into the title picture. Now it feels like with this loss, it's pretty much cemented that he's not going to get another shot at the title. And if he is, it's going to be a longer road with his age. Then I just don't know how it happens. So for it to end like that for him is brutal to watch. And you said it's shocking because it's Herzog. I mean, just less than 2 months ago, we watched Weili Zhang and Yan Xiaonan. Yan Xiaonan went completely out at the end of the first round, and then in the second round had 50 shots rained down on her while she was flattened out, and Herzog let it go and didn't call that fight. And then to call it for this one when Cannonier doesn't even get knocked down is crazy. It's wild to see.
Yes, great point by you. I stand corrected. 29-28 going into the fourth. Two judges had it in favor of Cannonier.
Yeah, you have to think that it was going to go to Imavov, and it was likely, there was still 3.5 minutes left. So, I mean, maybe it turned into a 10-8, or maybe Imavov even got the finish later into the round. But for it to end like that, when he never even went down, and then immediately Cannonier starts protesting, like he is fully there of how can you be doing this? How can you be stopping this fight right now? Yeah, I mean, it sucks to see.
It's another great point that, Cannonier isn't getting any younger. All these fights mean so much. A main event fight against a streaking guy in his division. Ultimately, in the UFC, they don't reverse these, and the commissions don't reverse these. You can protest, but they never reverse these. So that's detrimental. Now, ultimately, you're working in a organization where you get one win, you're right back in there. It's not like you're eliminated. It's not like this is the World Cup and shit happens and now you got to wait 4 years. They decide, right? You can literally get a title shot coming off a loss, but it halts your momentum. Who knows if he's on the, we can ask him this question on the show win model still. You may lose out on some money. You may lose out on a knockout that was to come. I mean, there's just so much that you're being robbed of. And actually I use that word when reacting to it all. And I had a couple of people be like, you use the word rob too much. I actually never use the word rob. Never. Even when it's when it's a close decision or something, no, there's a difference between a close call, a controversial call, and a robbery. I think Cannonier was robbed of the moment. He was robbed of the ability to keep on fighting, to survive, and then to ultimately win that fight. Again, it wasn't like he was getting killed the entire fight. And there have been some incredible examples throughout the years, none better than Czech Congo versus Pat Barry back in the day, where, a fighter looked completely out of it and he came back to win. And he came back to win in a really big way. Obviously, Shane Carwin and Brock Lesnar is another example of that. Those two in particular, I know those are some of the most famous examples, pale in comparison in terms of the damage that was inflicted, pale in comparison to what Cannonier was going through. he deserved a chance. Very, very rare, especially with those moments and a referee like Herzog to see a standing TKO like that. And I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I was very, very surprised that he stopped it in that moment. I just think that I'd like to think that if he could get that one back, he would take it back. And by the way, I give him credit for being on Twitter. Not a lot, there's Goddard out there. I know Big John is out there, but he's not obviously reffing these days. Herb Dean is sometimes out there, but I listen, I actually feel bad even saying his name because I can't even imagine the shit that must be coming his way. It's unfortunate. You got to make a bang bang call. It's the toughest job in all of sports, in my opinion. The job of a MMA referee. I don't know if there is a tougher, more subjective job where you have to make split-second decisions that affect the outcome of a contest, where it's just not as clear-cut as in other sports. It's tough. I don't envy these guys, and they don't get paid a lot of money. And he's not a guy who has a history of screwing up. He's not a guy that you can't trust with these big moments. Like, he has been there, done that. It's just sometimes you have a bad day. Sometimes you make a bad call, and I think this was a bad day. I think it was a bad call. Is it bad enough to run it back, though, GC, in your opinion?
I don't think they're going to.
No.
I don't think they're going
I think
to.
you could justify it, by the way. Like 2-2 heading into the fifth, if that round ends.
I just don't see them. It doesn't feel like they've really done Cannonier that many favors throughout his career. I don't imagine they're going to do one now. Feels like they're going to put Imavov on the Paris card and just try to continue his ascent.
It's a tough one because you're right about favors, but also they very, even like when there's controversial moments, they rarely run it back right away. Rarely, unless it's like an eye poke situation. Like Jeremy Stevens versus Yair Rodriguez, they'll run it back. But I mean, maybe you do Sean Strickland against Cannonier, and that's the bone that you're giving him. He does have the win over him. Strickland coming off a win too. Maybe
I just don't know why Strickland would take that. I mean, Strickland's calling for the belt.
Yeah.
He views in his eye, he said on the mic that like he did the UFC a favor by taking that Paulo Costa fight. I just can't imagine.
What's the favor?
That's what he said on the mic.
No, I know, but it's just like
no,
I don't understand that one. What's
in
the
his
favor?
eyes is that he went down in the rankings. What was Costa during the fight? 7th?
Oh, in that regard, yeah, but he needed a win. He just lost the belt. It's just a weird one. Like, he had to get a win to get back on.
Sure. I'm just talking about his mindset.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Is he going to go and fight the 7th guy again? I don't think so.
Is that what he is? Let's see.
Cannonier, no, but he's 4th and he just lost to the 7th guy, so I'm sure he's going to fall a few slots. I just don't think there's any way. I think Sean Strickland's going to be holding out for another shot at the belt. I mean, especially if it's DDP Izzy. He has a win over Izzy. He thinks he deserves a rematch against DDP with how close their first fight was. I don't think so.
Imavov was actually calling for Sean Strickland in Paris.
Oh, yeah, and I don't think Sean Strickland's taking that one either, dude. No way.
I think he would kind of relish the idea of being the American going to Paris. Am I crazy?
Maybe, but he got off the couch and went up to 205 and beat Imavov handily at the beginning of last year. So I don't think either of them are getting the Sean Strickland fight.
No, neither of them. Strickland has become that guy. He's become that Michael Bisping character who everyone calls out. He's kind of like in some respects, the middleweight Paddy Pimblett. Like
because I feel like in their heads, they all think that they can beat him.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, obviously, Cannonier, close split decision, and Imavov took an L to him. But I feel like they all think they can beat him, and like they'll get money, they'll get a payday, and he brings a lot of eyes to fights now. So they think it's this great call out. But I don't think either of these guys are getting that fight. I
feel for Cannonier. I really do.
For sure, man. I mean, since he came down to middleweight, he's like 7-2 with. Before this, he was 7-2 with losses to Izzy and Whitaker. Like with a win over Sean Strickland. Like he was doing really well at middleweight, and now with the age, I mean the ACL injury and everything, it's tough. It's tough as they say.
Yeah. Yes. David Branch, Anderson Silva, Jack Hermanson lost to Whitaker, beat Kelvin Gastelum, beat Derek Brunson, lost to Izzy for the belt. Beat Sean Strickland, beat Marvin Vettori, and this was pretty much a year since his last fight, since that 5-round win over Marvin Vettori, and then he was out for all this time. Yeah, tough one. You want to say something?
Oh no, I think I was just typing. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, I
Yeah,
heard
so enough
the.
on my phone.
Sometimes I know that you're about to say something when I hear the sound of the
Oh, like the
air.
mic opening up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess one other thing that I did have from this card, beyond the fights, was like with all the decisions at the beginning, like the judges again were off to a weird start. Like we got multiple very dissenting scorecards. Like that first fight of the night, there was a 30-27 each way.
Mm.
I think 3 of the first 5 fights were all split decisions. Just kind of sketchy to see. And I know they were in Kentucky. There's a guy named Matt Jones who's a big sports radio personality in Kentucky, and there was a judge named Matt Jones. And I was diving deep to see if they were the same person, but I couldn't find that out. Yeah. Like he's a big Kentucky sports radio personality, and his name is Matt Jones.
You think it's the same thing?
I don't know. It's just weird that they were in Kentucky, and there was a judge named Matt Jones who I'd never heard of before.
Damn. That would be a crazy story if they put him in there. I kind of feel like that would be a long shot, but maybe he moonlights.
Regardless, some iffy judging.
Yeah.
To start the night.
And usually when they go to these towns where they're not usually there, they put like a local guy in the main event. And then you're like, well, this is exactly why you need to use one of the top 4 or 5 refs. And this time they did, and disaster struck. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel. So please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.